How do you feel about Candace Owens? Notorious for her strong and often controversial stances, it's safe to say that most people fall into one of two camps. You either love her or hate her. But whether you think she's a fearless truth teller or a crazy far-right conspiracy theorist, there's something undeniably powerful about how she communicates and brands herself. So what is it about Candace that makes her so compelling? And why do I believe that we should learn from her? Welcome to the Femininity Audit. On this channel, we examine how women in pop culture portray themselves, how they think, what they say, and how they act, so we can take what's valuable and leave behind what isn't. It's safe to say Candace isn't afraid of controversy. Controversy is afraid of Candace. Candace is an independent journalist and author, most known for being a conservative thought leader and political pundit. Unapologetic and unflinching, she isn't known to back down, never shying away from what others may consider too provocative. Whether it's her Shot in the Dark series, which questions the necessity of childhood vaccines, calling out the Me Too movement and toxic feminism in her new book, Make Him a Sandwich, where the cover is a playful nod at second-wave feminism leader Gloria Steinem, or her most recent expose, Becoming Brigitte, where she uncovers evidence that France's First Lady Brigitte Macron may not be a lady after all, I don't think there's a topic Candace won't touch. And that's earned her notoriety for being the kind of person you really don't want to mess with.
She's sharp as a tack. And you damn well better be, if you gonna come for her.
Candace is polarizing and unapologetic, and whether you agree with her or not, she isn't afraid to pick a hill to die on. As the saying goes, if you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything. And it's a reminder to be decisive about who you are and what you stand for, even if you ruffle some feathers in the process. And there's a valuable lesson in this. Getting to the bottom of what matters most to you in life requires a level of introspection and self-awareness, a willingness to ask yourself some important questions. What are your principles, standards, or non-negotiables? What are you about? There comes a time in life where you have to rock the boat a little, a time when speaking up for yourself and letting others really see you is more important than staying silent just to appease them. Life isn't just about going along to get along and staying neutral all the time, and Candace clearly understands this. Not only does Candace know a thing or two about ruffling feathers, she's an equal opportunity offender, so to speak. She never hesitates to criticize, even when someone is on her side politically. Last year, Candace cut ties with her longtime employer, The Daily Wire, following a very public falling out with Daily Wire co-owner and conservative political pundit Ben Shapiro over Candace's criticism of Israel. And although the reasons for her firing remain unclear due to a strict NDA, her very public criticism of how Israel was dealing with Gaza obviously created a conflict of interest with the pro-Israel organization and its Jewish co-founder.
Judaism is a faith. Israel is a state, and it is not above critique, and that what Bibi Netanyahu has done to the Palestinians since October 7th is a Holocaust.
Her open criticism even led the Anti-Defamation League to label her an anti-Semite. But this wasn't the first time Candace came for her own side. Candace first launched her political career with a now infamous video titled, "Mom, Dad, I'm a Conservative," a serious yet tongue-in-cheek chronicling of her own awakening and so-called escape from the left. She even later made a documentary exposing the Black Lives Matter organization for wire fraud and misappropriation of funds that were raised during the outrage over George Floyd's arrest and untimely death. But it doesn't stop there. She co-founded a conservative grassroots organization called Blexit, which is geared towards shifting culture within minority groups through community outreach, and later authored her book, Blackout: How Black America Can Make Its Second Escape from the Democratic Plantation, all with the unified goal of giving the Black community an alternate path. Needless to say, this hasn't exactly made her a fan favorite in some sectors of the Black community, but it does highlight something else we can learn from Candace. Whether it's criticism of Israel, the Black community, or even fellow conservatives, She calls it like she sees it, every time, no matter who it is, for better or for worse.
I didn't play that game with my own community. I was willing to take all of the figurative bullets with Black America, calling me a race traitor, a self-hating Black person, whatever it was. I don't view Jewish people to be some exception.
Candace isn't partial, and you shouldn't be either. But what does being impartial actually look like in practice? It starts with saying what you mean and meaning what you say, followed by consistency. It means not just setting boundaries, but enforcing them when they are crossed, and not being tempted to let things go in some cases and not others. It means not cutting off a friend for a minor offense while simultaneously dealing with disrespect from a boyfriend and not doing anything about it. Being impartial means keeping the same energy. It means not being afraid of confrontation. And some people may not like this quality about you, but at the end of the day, they will respect your conviction and consistency. There's something admirable about someone who, like Candace, speaks up and stands up for what she believes in, regardless of whoever disagrees. And truth be told, speaking up will sometimes earn you more enemies than friends. Candace definitely has her fair share. If it's not the constant smearing in the media, it's her long-standing YouTube demonetization for speaking up on various topics, or being barred from entering a country on grounds of hate speech 1 second, only to be allowed to enter after all. It takes a certain type of fortitude to not cower and hide when you receive a strongly worded legal letter from French President Emmanuel Macron. But what's most fascinating to me is that even though Candace is always taking hits, she never considers herself a victim. Which leads me to a viral mic drop moment she had last year during a Q&A at a college speaking event, where a very pregnant and slightly irritable Candace casually dropped one of the most profound one-liners I've heard in a while.
Please, no speech. What is the question?
What do you have to say to the trans students on this campus who feel actively victimized by your presence here?
Life's tough. Get a helmet, man. I'm too pregnant for this.
Life's tough. Get a helmet. The ultimate mantra for non-victims. I love this saying for 2 reasons. Not only does it acknowledge the fact that none of us are immune to adversity, but that we can choose to take it in stride and push through it. We all know that sometimes when it rains, it pours, and in hard times, it's tempting to make yourself into a perpetual victim, to blame external forces, or to just give up, curl up in a ball, and hide. But that's what makes her prescription for this so empowering and almost hopeful in a way. You can choose to hide from the downpour, or you can put on a helmet and ride out the storm. Now, maybe you're listening to this and you don't really like Candace as a person. You may not like what she stands for or even how she expresses herself. Fair enough. But that's kind of the point, isn't it? In the same way Candace isn't your kind of person, you won't be everyone's cup of tea either. Being polarizing, expressing a strong opinion often means being cast as the villain in someone else's story. And that's okay. Not everyone is meant to be your friend, and not every space is meant to accommodate you. Part of maturing is realizing that you simply can't be for everyone, and that there are far more important things in life than being well-liked. Now, Candace may be set in her ways, but to her credit, she never turns down an opportunity to speak to people who don't agree with her. For years, her conservative values meant that Black media pretty much iced her out, but time and time again, Candace has, in good faith, sat across from people she has almost nothing in common with. She hasn't let her conservative beliefs keep her from going on The Breakfast Club or talking to more liberal figures in media such as Joe Budden and Nick Cannon. And as much as she dislikes modern feminism and all it stands for, she went on both the Fresh and Fit and Whatever podcasts, both known for inviting quote-unquote modern women who oftentimes don't subscribe to Candace's traditional and conservative views on sexuality and the nuclear family. She even spoke to the disgraced Harvey Weinstein for her ongoing series Harvey Speaks, even though they don't share the same values.
We can talk about the fact that Harvey abused his power. He did. We could talk about the fact that he was running a hotel room like it was the casting couch. He did. We could definitely speak about the fact that he is not innocent because of what he did to his wife and his kids. All of those things would be true. But you don't put a person in prison for 23 years because women wanted to trade sex for careers. Okay, that's my opinion anyways, and I'm sticking to it.
It's important to not let your personal feelings about a person or situation keep you from learning a lesson, having an important conversation, or simply getting to the bottom of what's true. In order to grow, you have to have the humility to learn from everyone and every situation, even if it's simply learning what not to do. Never underestimate the value you can get from someone who holds different opinions or values. It can be just the right kind of pattern interrupt you need to see something from a different angle. Even if it doesn't change your mind, it may serve to strengthen the ideals you already hold. All this to say, your ideas shouldn't exist in a vacuum. You should test them, poke holes in them, and let them battle it out with other ideas. If they hold up, after being challenged, they're ideals worth having. Every now and then, even someone as polarizing as Candace brings people together. I think it's safe to say we've all been on the edge of our seats following the ever-unfolding saga of the Blake Lively versus Justin Baldoni case, and all the fallout from the It Ends With Us drama. Candace's tireless coverage of the case has been riveting to say the least, even earning her a shout-out in Blake's team's most recent amended legal complaint.
I was recently name-checked in Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds' recent filing against Justin Baldoni in Wayfarer Studios. So grab your effing florals and welcome back to Candace.
However, in an unexpected turn of events, it's uniting all kinds of people, regardless of their political leanings. And much to the disappointment of mainstream media, who are used to having a monopoly on what is published as true, and who resent being exposed, ironically, for the same thing they tried to accuse Justin of doing to Blake, launching a premeditated, calculated smear campaign. And that's where people like Candace come in. Sometimes you just need that one person to say what everyone is already thinking. And if there's one thing that the public's unified opinion about this ongoing case proves, it's that the truth is just the truth, and evil is just evil, and it needs to be called out. Candace often credits her core values of faith in God and devotion to her family and community as what keeps her grounded and gives her purpose, and the drive to keep pushing even when things get hard. And because of that, Candace is always willing to take one for the team. Her boldness to speak truth to power is grounded in a desire to serve others, to speak for the voiceless, and to empower the disenfranchised to do the same. There's something about saying the thing that everyone is afraid to say that earns you respect and even a loyal following. Candace has nearly 10 million followers across all platforms and has a die-hard fan base. And while having a large following doesn't mean someone is always right, it does mean that by having courage, speaking up about what matters to her, and showing up authentically as who she is time and time again, she's been able to find her people, and her people have clearly found her. People who admire her bravery and feel like she speaks not only for herself, but for them. Whoever first said the truth hurts wasn't lying. Facing the facts of any situation is often painful, especially when we aren't living the life we imagine for ourselves. Still, if I could have you take just one thing from this video, it's this. Your greatest ally will always be the truth. Let it be your compass. Because the most fulfilled people are the ones who dedicate themselves to a constant search for what is good and what is true. Be more polarizing. Stand for something in all areas of your life. Because let's be honest, how many of us are stuck in jobs, stages, or relationships we no longer want to be in simply because we don't have the guts to confront the truth or say the thing that needs to be said, the very thing that could set us free or maybe even start a healthy dialogue that paves the way towards a better future? So speak the truth at all costs, even when it offends those closest to you, even if it costs you, because it probably will. But I can guarantee that what you gain in the process will be well worth the sacrifice.